Oh hey! Okay, so as it's so close to Christmas now, I thought I'd do a little bit of a Christmassy video today. So I'm going to talk about Christmas in England versus Christmas in Australia. They're very different and they're very different. You'll see as I go along. So let's talk about the lead up to Christmas first, seeing as that's what we're in right now. So in England, you typically have things like carol services, outdoor ice rinks, Advent, and like if you're a churchgoer, you go to church and stuff. I mean, we have that in Australia too. But anyway, so carol services, Christmas concerts, outdoor ice rinks, loads of like parties, loads of food. Australia, they don't really do Christmas in the same way. So like in England, everywhere you go, even the small little towns will have like Christmas lights switch-ons. Australia doesn't really do that. And then you'll also have Christmas carol concerts. Australia, sometimes have them, but just not very often and not as many. And obviously it feels very different. So whereas in England it's winter and it's cold, you've got dark evenings, in Australia it's the summer, so everyone's out at the beach, everyone's in summer clothing, everyone's just kind of really in that summer spirit and mood rather than the festive spirit. So it doesn't really feel like Christmas in Australia. It just feels like another kind of any other time of year. Also Christmas adverts. So in England, obviously you get those typical Christmas adverts where everything's set in winter and the snow. In Australia, everything is like Australia-fied to represent Australia over Christmas time. So everything is like set in summer on the beach. At the moment at work, we're working on a big campaign for one of my clients who is very well known, especially for their Christmas ads, one of which includes a truck. In Australia, they don't like those famous truck adverts. We don't get them in Australia, and well, I mean, I don't know, I've actually never seen one on the TV in Australia, but if they do show them on the TV, it would be really weird seeing snow while you're in Australia. But anyway, so because it's summer, we're doing a summer campaign, and it just happens to be over Christmas because it's summer. So it's just a bit weird. So everything is like set on the beach and with people like having drinks with friends on the beach and like with barbecues and in the water and in the ocean, and, you know, all these things, and at festivals, and your typical summer things are in the Christmas adverts in Australia and for like every brand. So that's a little bit strange, whereas in England it's all very lovely and festive and pretty lights everywhere, and you know, snow and big gatherings and parties of food and all these winter clothes and all that. Australia, it's summer, so it doesn't really make sense to have any of that. Also, one thing that really gets to me every time I have Christmas in Australia is the food in cafes at Christmas time. None of the cafes change their menus to reflect Christmas food at all. So you will not get mince pies, you will not get Christmas cake, you will not get spiced hot chocolates or hot chocolate, orange hot chocolate, or anything that like Pret, Starbucks, Costa Coffee, anything that those kinds of chain cafes do at Christmas time, you will not find in Australia. Not only because they do not like chain cafes here, so everything is a local independent cafe, which is amazing, but they just do not do Christmas. Last year at work, I spent an entire lunch break going between every single cafe in the neighbourhood where my work is, looking for a mince pie. I just wanted a mince pie. I was, you know, when you're feeling quite homesick, it's that time of year when everyone is kind of with their families and doing all these family orientated things, and you feel quite homesick. And so all I wanted was a mince pie, just to make me feel a little bit closer to home and like a bit Christmassy. And it was literally the week before Christmas. No cafe sold any mince pie. I even went to the supermarket, they didn't have any mince pies. I don't know why, because usually the supermarkets do have mince pies. They didn't, this particular one didn't. And then I went, the last cafe that I went to, which is literally behind my office. I can't believe I didn't go there in the first place, but they were the only place that sold mince pies, and they were like proper homemade ones, and it was amazing. It was literally the best mince pie I've ever had, I think because I'd just been wanting one so badly. So yeah, it makes me sad that the cafes don't get all festive and Christmassy and, you know, inventive with ingredients and stuff. They just stick to the same normal cafe goods. But yeah, also Christmas movies, they just don't okay, the Australian TV in general is pretty shit. Like, it's not good, honestly. And I'm not just saying this because clearly a lot of these videos are quite negative. I'm sorry, I don't mean for them to be. But the TV in Australia is terrible. Anyone who has watched TV in Australia will understand how awful it is. There's just never anything on, or never anything good. The only good programs that come on TV in Australia are things like The Block, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, Love Island. Oh, they do reruns of like NCIS and Big Bang Theory and stuff. But yeah, they just don't really have that, they don't really have great TV shows. But so anyway, they also don't really show films on TV very often. So there's an extreme lack of Christmas movies around Christmas time. Last December, I was just so upset because it was my first Christmas in Australia for 6 years, I think, and I'd forgotten what it was like, and I was feeling very homesick, and I just wanted to watch Love Actually, but Netflix didn't have it on at the time, because Netflix in Australia also is different to the overseas Netflixes. They didn't have Love Actually, they didn't have The Holiday, they didn't have Elf, and it made me really sad. And then I think there was one evening, literally like 3 days before Christmas, when they finally showed Love Actually, and yeah, that was the only time I watched a Christmas film last year because they just weren't on TV. It was sad. Anyway, whereas in England, it's like constant. The weeks before Christmas, as soon as December arrives, there are Christmas I just tried to merge movies and films. Christmas movies everywhere. Like, all the channels are showing Christmas films. All over Christmas they're showing Christmas films. And there's also Christmas music playing everywhere in England. Like, all the shops, all the department stores, all the cafes and no, not restaurants. Cafes though, all playing Christmas music. In Australia they don't really tend to do that. So yeah, and then also on Christmas Day itself, it's very different, obviously, because it's summer here, so you can't come to Australia for Christmas and expect it to be the same as back home, because it's not going to be. It's very different here. So in Australia, Christmas Day generally consists of, if you go to church, then you go to church, open presents, breakfast is usually a cooked breakfast, so like bacon, eggs, sausage, that kind of stuff, hash browns. And then in the morning you go to the beach, have a swim, come back, have a late lunch. Lunch is usually big salads, seafood, a lot of prawns, and bugs. So here there are different types of bugs. There's like Moreton Bay bugs. I can't remember the names of the other ones, but they're really tasty. They taste so good. And basically you have like huge salads with all these like prawns, like giant prawns, and like big tiger prawns, Moreton Bay bugs, like some people have lobster if you're that fancy. Yeah, all of that. My family and my family in Perth have a proper English roast as well because they're British. But when I spent Christmas with my ex-boyfriend's family, when we were still together, we had like a roast dinner Christmas Eve, but Christmas Day was pure seafood and nothing else. but it is delicious and I love seafood, so it's fine. But do not come to Australia and expect a full-blown roast dinner. However, you can get Bisto gravy in supermarkets, so you could do it if you really wanted. But I feel like if you have Christmas in Australia, you should do it the Australian way and go for the seafood. And then obviously in England, Christmas Day consists of going to church, having breakfast with Bucks Fizz. So in Australia they don't really do Bucks Fizz. Last July, every year they have this thing called Christmas in July, and it's basically because it's the middle of winter then, people get together and have a big Christmas event in July when it's actually cold. So at work we did a big Christmas dinner and we all did something. I cooked Yorkshire puddings and we did Bucks Fizz. None of the Australians knew what Bucks Fizz was, and all of them were just like, what is this? Is this some kind of weird thing? We were like, how can you not know what Bucks Fizz is? It's amazing. So in England, Christmas Day, Bucks Fizz, which is champagne and orange juice. Completely forgot then myself. Champagne and orange juice in the same glass, like mixed together. And then for lunch, it's obviously the full roast with all the trimmings, sausages and bacon, Yorkshire puddings, loads of gravy. And then obviously Christmas cake, Christmas pudding, and then you've got all the extra like chocolate and stuff. And then, I mean, in England, all you do is sit around and watch movies because it's too cold to do anything. And then on Boxing Day, you like go for a big walk to walk off everything that you ate the day before. So yeah, that's basically Christmas in a nutshell for both countries. So Australia, it literally is what it is in films and TV shows. On the beach, everyone goes to the beach or the river, have like big family gathering. It's very hot usually, summertime. You just eat seafood and big salads and cold meats. Whereas in England, obviously, it's very traditional, big roast dinner, walks in the countryside or the city if you live in the city. Also, Christmas cards. So actually, I have a couple here because I'm currently writing my Christmas cards. So obviously in England, you have like your traditional Christmas cards. In Australia, because there are so many expats here, they actually make expat specific Christmas cards for people with family and other in normal winter countries. So you have cards like this. Focus. No, not focusing. Focus. No. Oh, there we go. So you've got like images of like Santa on a beach with some Australian animals having a barbecue. And then also Santa and animals on a surfboard. So I actually really love these cards, and every year I get my family cards like these. So yeah, I've had, how many Christmas? I've had 1, 2, 3. This is my 5th or 6th Christmas in Australia, I think. But yeah, a couple of them were when I was younger. And then, yeah. But anyway, that is pretty much it for Christmas. Sydney versus London. Australia versus England. If I've forgotten anything, if you think I've missed anything, if there are any family traditions that you do, leave a comment below and let me know. But yeah, if you're Australian and you're moving to England, go full English, have those Yorkshire puddings. But if you're English coming to Australia, you need to have at least one Christmas where you go proper Australian, have a cooked breakfast for breakfast, go full out on the seafood and the salads and the cold meats for lunchtime. And yeah, enjoy. Merry Christmas!